I'm Diana MacMullen. I'm a forestry consultant based in Norfolk in East Anglia. I run a small company, having been in this business now for about 30 years. I worked for the Woodland Trust for about 6.5, 7 years, and then I set up on my own. Both my parents were land agents based in North Wales, and I spent many journeys going through the Forestry Commission land at Beth Gellert and so on, and Betws y Coed, and decided at a very early age that I would be a forester. My father wasn't terribly keen on this because he felt that I would always come across prejudices against females in such a male-dominated world. But I stuck to it, A-levels and then to university at Bangor in North Wales. And after a time with Hertfordshire County Council, I went back to Bangor again to do an MSc. After that, I joined the Woodland Trust and had 6.5 years with them, which was a very good experience. And then set up on my own business, and I've been doing that now for 22 years or so. So I'm fairly well established in what is still a very male-dominated world. As a forestry consultant, I have many different clients stretched over a large geographic area of East Anglia and into the Midlands. And in addition to having clients whose woodlands I manage on a day-to-day basis, I also run an FSC certification group. So that's the logo where it almost looks like a square root symbol with a tree in it. And these woodlands are sustainably managed. My days are either divided between being out in the woods or at my desk. And there's a lot of paperwork involved in one's job these days, making applications on behalf of landowners for the various different grants through the Forestry Commission or through the environmental grant schemes like HLS and so on. And then a lot of time also is spent out on site marking in woodlands, as we have here, to prepare works for contractors and then supervising those jobs as they start from planting trees right through to harvesting large timber. In this job, communication is all important. And firstly, you have to understand the objectives of your client and all that they wish to get out of their woodlands. Secondly, you have to have a lot of knowledge under your belt so that you can show the contractors that you know what you're talking about. And this in turn then earns you the respect that actually maybe it's difficult to have as a woman in a man's world. But providing you can convince them that you're not showing them how to do the work, but that you understand all the problems associated with doing the particular task that you've set them, I think you will earn that respect. The best thing about the work really is the interaction I have with the clients and the contractors. I enjoy that very much indeed. I spend perhaps only 2 out of 5 days, maybe even 1 out of 5 days a week, actually out in the woodlands. So the real gems of one's work is when you go out to woodlands and find wonderful pollards that maybe you didn't think they were there, and lovely managed woodlands, but also undermanaged woodlands that you know you can make a difference in. There are downsides, and I had never imagined when I came into this job that I would spend quite so much time at an office. And these days you spend a lot of time at a computer, dealing with emails and correspondence, telephone calls, and inevitably a huge amount of paperwork associated with permissions and grants and so on. There have been many changes in this job since I started all those years ago, particularly in the office, where we didn't have computers when I started, and now one's life is entirely ruled by emails, mobile phones, and modern communications. But out in the field as well, we have changed from chaps that worked with chainsaws, extracting small amounts of timber by very motor manual based systems. And these days we're dealing with many different sorts of machinery that are extremely expensive and very complicated to run, but extremely efficient in the work that they do in the woods. I see the future really changing quite dramatically. We are, whether we like it or not, being affected by climate change, and so that the species that we grow will need a rethink, really. And we're also greatly affected by different diseases from all over the world now that are affecting trees that we never imagined would be a threat, either climatically or in terms of the disease. But I do hope that we will be using our woodlands more positively in a local context, and in that way we will reduce the miles to market. Historically, we've produced a lot of fuel wood as foresters, but I think as oil prices continue to rise, we will find that it is perfectly feasible and economically right that we start going into the less managed woodlands, and we will increasingly be producing a larger proportion of our outturn will be going into the biofuel industry. So the advice to you youngsters would be to work hard at school, but be very focused in what it is that you want to achieve. Get as much experience as you possibly can in any aspect of the job that it is that you want to do, and knock on people's doors and show them the passion that you have for the career that you're choosing, and really ask for that experience, even if it's not paid in the short term. It will pay you dividends.